This morning we were visiting with Miss Evelyn Gatewood and Miss Pam Hunter.
You
Pam is
remember
Evelyn's daughter.
Barley Holyfield?
Bali Holyfield?
No, I don't.
Oh, you know.
Yeah,
Well,
I
it was a
don't.
little before his time.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I understand you grew up in the Leonard community.
You grew up in Leonard and went to school at Leonard?
No, Taiwap.
Taiwap, okay.
Yeah, well, that's even better.
Yeah.
Taiwap's even better.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
was it just one room?
Yeah.
Was there just one room schoolhouse?
Yeah, I guess it was. There's a kindergarten and
They went so many
Kindergarten.
years in one.
Like probably
My
still in eighth
grandmother,
grade.
her mother-in-law, Dorothy Gatewood, was a one-room school teacher for 45 years.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
so she had lots of stories to tell.
Yeah. And so then where did you meet your husband, Joey?
Joy.
Where did you meet Dad?
I don't know.
Sure.
I've been told the story.
Okay.
You know, everybody came to town on Saturday night,
Yeah.
and you would walk the streets like you and I used to drive the streets
Yeah, right.
and make a circle. They would walk the streets and make a circle, and they met that way. That's what I was told.
Okay. They went to the
She
went to
was
the
a
drawing.
teacher.
Yeah, went to the drawing. Always go to the
She was a
drawing.
teacher.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Wow. And so then do you remember when you moved to Rector? What year did you move to Rector?
She was born in Rector, so she's
she
always
was.
lived in Rector.
Oh, okay.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Okay. So
1926.
1926. And you and I grew up right down the street from you.
And
Remember
on
that?
Valley Street.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
and listen, my sister, my brother lived on Valley on one end. My daughter lives on Valley on the other.
On the other end.
Yeah.
So everybody's on Valley Street
They
now.
are, yeah, except me, who grew up there. Yeah. So, what do you remember about growing up in Rector?
What do you remember about growing up in Rector?
Well, yeah, some.
Well, what do you remember?
I don't know.
So,
Well,
She and my dad got married very young. She was 18 and Dad was 21, and he joined the service. And so she went out to California with him, and she was going to work in one of the factories in California till he came back from the Philippines. Well, she worked 1 week and decided home was better, so she went back to Rector and stayed in Rector until he got back from the service. Then they farmed for a while on the road that goes out to Boydsville next to my grandparents.
Oh, yeah, I know.
Mhm.
Out there on the left.
And my grandfather, Ebert Gatewood, had an antique shop out there, and then their house was next to their farm, and they did all the farming and stuff on that area. And then Daddy got an offer to join Artmo Power, and they lived in Crothersville for a very short time while he trained, and then they came back to Rector.
You know, I don't know if you remember this, but I used to love to go hang out at Joey's shop.
Oh yes, he had quite the shop in the backyard.
He did. and I always liked things that had wires and strings.
Uh-huh.
And
He had lots of wires and strings in that shop.
Yeah. And so I had this idea of for a science project
Uh-huh.
of wiring a house.
Oh, wow.
And
That
so
was
I-
ambitious.
Yeah, and so what I did, I got with him, and we took a piece of plywood and drew the floor plan on this plywood, and then we drew holes where the lights were going to be. We put flashlight bulbs in there.
I seem to remember that,
Yeah, we ran
actually.
it
It
with-
was really kind of
Oh,
neat.
Yeah,
Taiwan.
we ran it with two.
Taiwan.
Yeah,
Taiwan.
that's where you went to school. Yeah, and so anyway, and he helped me with that.
Uh-huh.
And I remember that the guy who won the science fair
Uh-huh.
went to Radio Shack and bought one of those where you bend the wires over, stick the spring over, stick the wire in. He won, and I got an honorable mention.
But you did all the work.
Yeah. So So in Rector,
Yeah,
I bet you
right
were
there
in
in
the,
Greenway and Piggott.
yeah, I bet you that you were in the women's club at Rector,
She was in the home demonstration club,
home demonstration
Fairview
club.
Home Demonstration
Okay,
Club,
yeah,
yes,
yeah.
with Lillian Mrs. Randleman. Is her first name Lillian? The
Yeah.
librarian,
Yes.
anyway. And they would have all-day meetings, and the kids would play outside, and of course, they would bring this wonderful food.
Yeah.
And then I still have some of their cookbooks that they published from then, which is
Yeah.
kind of neat.
We have some of those in the
Uh-huh.
museum. I don't
Rector,
have any.
Greenway, and Piggott.
Uh-huh.
And the three, that was Maine now. Leonard.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the main hangout spots, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Huh?
That was the main hangout spots.
Yeah.
She was the youngest of nine.
Of nine?
Nine. And she's
Really?
the only survivor. She'll be 98 in June, and she's the surviving sibling.
Wow. Well, congratulations
Yeah,
on that.
I know.
Yeah.
That's quite an accomplishment.
Yes, it is.
I hope we all attain to that goal.
And do like Melvin.
Oh my gosh, it's like, yeah,
Yeah.
she could dance around me.
Yeah. So then you had Pam.
In
Yeah.
1952, I was your first. I was born in 1952,
Yeah, I think.
and then Sonia was born in 1955.
55.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, got two daughters.
Yeah. And do you remember that I lived down the street from you?
Joey and his
Yeah.
family lived down the street.
Yeah.
And his
there's
mom
one
made
one
donuts, I
girl
remember.
lived down there. You know, she passed away. I can't think of her name.
Hmm.
Yeah, I can't think.
I can't get it right now.
Yeah.
Probably come to me when I get going.
That's right.
Call him at 4 o'clock in the morning and tell him.
He won't give me.
Yeah.
I don't even know what it looks
Yeah.
like at 4 o'clock.
You were retired, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So in growing up a rector, let's share some memories you have of growing up in a rector.
Well, I remember we didn't have kindergarten, so
No.
all my schooling started in first grade. I had Miss Maud.
Yeah.
I think everybody had Miss Maud.
Yeah, the voice was so up.
That's right. You did not have Miss Maud.
7th grade.
And it was just, I mean, we rode our bikes everywhere, and this is kind of, I mean, I'm not sure that still happens in Rector, but I
Yeah,
would
that's
think
right.
so, yeah. And I would babysit for different people and be riding my bike home at 12 o'clock in the morning and not think a thing about it,
Yeah, that's right.
which doesn't happen quite often anymore.
No, but I liked school.
Oh, I
Did
did
you?
too. I love school, yeah.
You know, and I mean, I tell people that I kind of seem to get like homesick to see my classmates. It may sound silly, but I do, and luckily still being a rector.
You can see, because they come back home.
Not as much, because
Yeah.
as their parents, grandparents, then parents pass away,
Then they
they
don't
have
come
no reason to
back.
come back.
Yeah.
and so I don't see it as much as I did.
Yeah.
But for years I did.
Oh, we had some wonderful teachers.
Yeah,
over the years.
And, it's so funny to become friends with them.
Uh-huh. Like Leland.
Yeah. My first year out of school,
I still call him
we had
Mr.
friends
Blackshear, I would
with him.
think, if I saw him.
I'm with him so much, it's
Yeah.
amazing to me. But yeah, so we had teachers like Miss Wolf. You remember Miss Carmen?
Yes,
Wolf?
English, yes.
And
Oh, it
she-
seems like old yesterday.
It does seem like yesterday.
Yeah.
And her name was Gardner.
Gardner,
Yeah,
I remember
yeah,
as Miss
Miss
Gardner.
Davis,
Uh-huh.
all those teachers.
Yeah, and it inspired me to go on and get more education, and I became
Remember,
a public library director, and your daughter's a public library
Yes,
director.
my sister was.
Yeah,
before
that's
me.
true.
My
So
sister-in-law before
for that,
you
so it's in the
remember
family.
Dorothy Gatewood?
Dorothy was my
That's Joy's
dad's
mother.
mother.
Oh,
She was
okay.
a school teacher.
She was a school teacher
Mm-hmm.
at Taiwan.
Yeah.
I-
Yeah.
It was a
well,
public
Leonard,
number. I can't remember what it was. It was like where they lived. It was not too far from where they lived. So it was a different community.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So she had to be recertified every year. She would have to get a license and go take a test to be recertified to teach.
Wow, back then,
Mm-hmm.
really?
Yep.
yeah.
Yeah.
So she'd have to travel, I think, to Piggott,
Oh, yeah.
the county seat.
Yeah, those were, in those days, that was quite a travel.
It was,
I was
especially if
kinda
you don't have a car.
Excuse me?
I was kind of spoiled.
Were you? That's because you were the youngest.
The
at
youngest,
nine.
yeah. She was her dad's favorite.
Yeah, yeah, my sister was the same way.
Yeah.
She was the only girl, so
Yeah,
she
that's
was
right.
really spoiled.
Yeah, yeah,
Time goes on.
yeah. It does,
Yeah.
Faster than we wanted to.
yeah. So do you have any memories
Yeah.
of growing up?
Do you have any memories of growing up? She used to have to walk to school.
Yeah.
And when they got sick, they had an aspidity bag that
Oh,
they
yeah,
wore
yeah.
around.
Yeah.
And I said, well, that was probably the way it cured you. It just
We
kept
had-
people away from you so you
We
didn't
had
get
to
any
walk the
germs.
sidewalk about a mile or two.
Uphill both ways?
Huh?
Uphill both ways?
Yeah.
Dad said his dad made him push his chain.
Some of them memories we
Well,
want to drop.
I had to
Oh,
walk.
that's
I had to
true.
walk to school every day, and
Yeah,
we
you
had
did.
the little over by your
Little bridge.
house. Over by your
Yeah,
house,
yeah.
it's got flooded out, so there was another bridge on up the street you could go across.
Yeah. You know, and it's funny, you remember we'd have open campus and then we wouldn't have open campus.
Yes,
then
and you
we
could
would.
go home and you couldn't go home,
Yeah.
or you could go over to what was the
Didn't
name of that
y'all-
little store that everybody ate at?
Eagles, Cafe,
Yes.
and Chadwick's.
Yes, Chadwick's is
Yeah.
what I was.
Didn't
remembering.
y'all move into the Fourth Church?
The Fourth Street
That's where I
Methodist
live.
Church. Yeah, that's where
I
he
think
lives
they
now. That's where he lives now.
Oh, it is.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
They made a house
Yeah.
Okay.
out of the church.
And do you
Well,
still
it's
have
been
the
some time and
shuffleboard
I forgot.
things in the basement?
It's been painted.
Oh, it
I
has
took
now.
pictures.
I
Yeah.
saw that on Facebook.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
I remember, I don't know if you remember Judy Williams. They went to
Just
church
barely.
there. Yeah. Cooper is her
Cooper.
name now. Yeah. And
Well, churches seem the same, don't it?
she used to invite me to
No.
go to some of their shuffleboard stuff there.
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
They had quite a little congregation at one time.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then
There's lots of different
Well,
stories
I
about how the
moved.
church
kind of separated.
came and went,
Yeah.
Yeah, so it was built in 1904.
And then the other church was like 1935 or something like that. So it was after, I guess that was the main church at one time.
Yeah, but people went every year.
Oh, I
That's
see.
Presbyterian.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So do you feel holy living in a church?